Can you give us a list of maybe 3 to 5 books, or even just podcasts or videos or resources or classes that you would recommend someone to kind of, before we can mobilize our students, we have to mobilize ourselves. So.
Yeah, I think for me, when I get asked this with a student, wherever they're at from zero to zealot, I just say, man, the first thing you gotta do is get exposure. The heart can't feel what the eye hadn't seen. The first thing you got to do is get exposure. And so what does getting exposure mean? It means looking in the student union for the foreigner among you. It means seeing the international student in your dorm or in your biology class and initiating with them. They will not initiate with you. You have to step out. The first way is just to get exposure. I mean, maybe going on a summer project, but that's in the summer. You've got 16 weeks in the fall, 16 weeks in the spring. You got to start now. And so meeting internationals, getting exposure. I think the other thing is get some knowledge, exposure and knowledge. And so, man, put up a world map, start praying for the world. Maybe in the spring, say, man, I want the 65 countries in the 1040 window. I want to pray through all 65 by May. Get some great mission books, and they're out there, some mission resources. And so if you want to get started, you got to get exposure and you got to get knowledge. And one of the things we did as the traveling team, this just hit the press, and it's called 101 Ways to Impact the World. And what we did is specifically, we said, okay, we want to give you 101 ways to reach the world. And only one, the last one, is go on an overseas trip. The first 100 is broken down into, here's 25 ways to pray. Here's 25 ways to give. Here's 25 ways to welcome. Here's 25 ways to mobilize. And so really for the first 100, you don't even have to leave your campus to do any of them. And so that's a free PDF download on our website, thetravelingteam.org. You can go to 101 Ways to Impact the World, or you can buy it on Amazon as a book. But that's just a fantastic way to say, hey, I'm not going overseas anytime soon. Does that mean I don't have a role to play? No. We found 100 ways that you can impact your campus even before going overseas. So get exposure, get some knowledge. When I think of some resources, when I think of a few books, I'll give you a few. I personally wrote one called The Abrahamic Revolution to kind of start people on the journey. And so I took myself as a college student and thought, what did I need to know? Who was at a 0, and how would I move them from a 0 to a 3? And so I organized the Abrahamic Revolution. I call it the Abrahamic Revolution because it's anchored in Genesis 12. Right. And the first five chapters is just a biblical understanding of the mission of God. The middle section of the book is every major world religion, how they view sin, salvation, the afterlife, and how you can share the gospel with them. And the last section is how to be a global Christian. So obviously that's out there. It's called the Abrahamic Revolution. Another great resource is one called Missions in the Old Testament by a guy named Walter Kaiser. It's only about 70 pages, but it is power packed. We have all our staff read it before they hit the road. Walter Kaiser, Missions in the Old Testament. And he just shows you again that it's not just the Great Commission that starts the ball rolling. 2,000 years before Jesus gave the Great Commission, we see Abraham. And really, Jesus repeated Genesis 12. And so that's what Walter Kaiser brings. He brings more of the theological understanding of like, where is missions in the Old Testament? And then the mother of all, if you're like, man, I want to get amped up, the mother of all, I would say, is called The Mission of God by Christopher Wright. The Mission of God by Christopher Wright is going to cost you $30, but it's going to be 589 pages. Wow. 589 pages. And if you end up reading The Mission of God, if you're like, hey, man, Abrahamic Revolution is too easy, Missions in the Old Testament by Kaiser is too small. If you're looking for the opus, The Mission of God by Christopher Wright, if you read that, you're going to know more about God's heart for the world than probably anyone in your world. So those are some great resources. 101 Ways to Impact the World, the Abrahamic Revolution, Missions in the Old Testament, and the Mission of God. Pick where you want to go.
I'll jump in here also, and I know a number of our listeners probably are familiar with the Perspectives class, Todd, perspectives.org. And that reader that goes along with that what usually a 15, 16 week class is a life changer, and there's offered all over the U.S., all over the world, perspectives.org. I remember asking Dr. Winter, Ralph Winter, the founder of the U.S. Center for World Mission and the Perspectives course, Dr. Winter, when someone takes perspectives, are they pretty much a kind of an expert on missions? And he started laughing. Oh, no. Those are just the little ABCs, the little training wheel beginning steps, And I felt a little overwhelmed by that. But there's so much we can learn, so much we can gain, and the ideas of exposure and knowledge. What Todd is saying is so true. The website that he mentioned, the travelingteam.org, I've been bragging on that website for 20 years now, Todd.
Yeah.
Because I've been involved a little bit with it, but you've got this team of folks that have just been packing this thing. And I kind of present it wherever I go as there's no website anywhere on the planet that is as packed with tools, articles, resources, all kinds of things to mobilize your family, yourself, your campus, and your students. And so please, we're going to put that website in the show notes, but it is an amazing resource.